We have 8 minutes left. I'd really love to address the finances of the city. Yeah. Please, I think that's what people are here for.
Some of operations from John, definitely not the Warwick Mayor's debate, in June, and it's my delight and pleasure to be with you all this afternoon, and this turnout is phenomenal. Thank you so much for all being here. Thank you to Jean Valicenti from WJAR for helping us keep everything on track today, and to Barbara Polichetti, who some of you may know from her time in the Providence Journal, specifically in the West Bay Bureau. And to, of course, John Howell, our fearless leader at the Warwick Beacon. So thank you. That's your panel this evening. And to the candidates, thank you for being here. It's never easy to run for office, and we appreciate your public service today, and to the city of Warwick. I know you all contribute in various ways, so that is very much appreciated. And last but not least, thank you to all of you. You are why we are here. You are why we put out the Warwick Beacon every week. And we truly appreciate you being here. And if you like what you hear tonight and read in the Beacon and across other media, please click, save, share, subscribe, the whole 9 yards, because we're here because of you. So thank you very much. And with that, I will turn it over to Jean to kick us off. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joy. All right, so let's get started. We've laid out the ground rules. We're ready to go. We'll get Patrick seated, and then we'll introduce our candidates. On the left is Leah Hazelwood, Democrat candidate for mayor, Patrick Maloney, independent candidate for mayor, and the incumbent, Mayor Frank Picozzi. Welcome to all of you, and thanks for taking part in this debate. I'll pose a question, and then John will have one, and then we'll just continue. We'll continue down. So let's begin. My first question, in Warwick, do you think you have an affordable housing? I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm rushing it too fast. I've got to be somewhere at 6. By order of a draw, we have opening statements of 1 minute each. We will time them here. The candidates will take the full minute if they want. By order of the draw, Patrick, you will go first with your opening statement, please. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gene. I appreciate everybody being here. I'd like to first start by taking 10 seconds of my 1 minute to just think about all the people down in Florida and North Carolina who are dealing with the hurricane situation. My parents are down there, and my brother is down there, and they are safe, and I pray for all of them. So just take 10 seconds for that. Thank you. The reason I'm running today is for my kids. One of them is here today. For my beautiful wife who loved Warwick so much. My wife grew up in Warwick. I grew up in East Providence. I used to ride my bike at age 14 to Warwick from East Providence and to visit her. We met at LaSalle Academy. I want to make my wife proud. I lost her 2 years ago. And I know she's with me every day, and she would want me to do well. I plan to have a campaign and to, when elected, hopefully, run this city with integrity and honor, and truthfulness and transparency. I was in the Providence Journal today, and somebody told me that their wife was going to vote for me because she thought I was funny. But I will tell you why I made my statements in the Providence Journal the way I did. I was ignored by 3 different newspapers, and I need to be seen. I can't be Mr. Invisible. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Leah, opening statement.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the Warwick Public Library, Jean, Barbara, and the Beacon for making this event possible. My name is Leah Hazelwood, and I've lived in Warwick for over 50 years. I'm a mother to 4 talented children, grandmother to 2, and a widow who lost my high school sweetheart and husband to cancer in 2009. I'm a former small business owner and retired Warwick School employee who worked as a teacher assistant for over 2 decades. It is my passion to work with students alongside dedicated faculty and staff as we serve children and their families. It was a natural transition for me to run and serve on the Warwick School Committee. My family is important to me. You and your family are important to me, and the future of this city is important to me. That is why I'm running for mayor. I have served the city that I love in multiple ways for many years, and there has been a progression of service and leadership in my life. If elected, I will work tirelessly for this city, bringing a spirit of excellence to the work we do here in Warwick. I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. And Mayor Picozzi, opening statement.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank Jerry Fox, the new John Howard, from the Warwick Beacon, John Howard, Barbara Valicenti, and of course Jean Valicenti for moderating. I want to recognize someone in the audience, Mr. Jack Welch. He was my elementary school principal back in 1968, and he came out to support me, and I greatly appreciate it. There was some miscommunication. We were told different times we had a statement. I have a 2-minute statement. It's not going to make sense if I chop it up. So I'm just going to go off the cuff a little bit. Over the last almost 4 years that I took office, we've been able to use $65 million in federal money in grants. ARPA money, Senate and Congressional earmark grants, SAFER grants, CDBG funds, whatever else we could find. We purchased 8 trash trucks, 4 fire engines, 4 rescues, a tower ladder truck. We rebuilt our police fleet and bought much needed equipment. All of these were one-time expenses from one-time revenue. We didn't use the ARPA funds to shore up our revenue. We used $2.5 million in the first year, and then we negated that with budgeting. Okay, I see the stop signs now.
All right, Mayor, thanks for accommodating us and just working with us on the opening statement. It's a minute each. That was the original directive, but we understand there may have been a communication. We appreciate your adjusting it. All right, let's begin now. I sort of tipped my hand. My first question has to do with affordable housing. Your constituent, Joe Sicarci, the speaker, is big on this. We have legalized those so-called Sicarci cottages. The ADUs are all going to build in our backyard. Let's begin. Mayor, do you have an affordable housing problem in your city of Warwick, and would you build an ADU in your backyard?
I wouldn't in my backyard. I have a ranch house, and the yard's really not big enough to fit that. We have that problem in all of Rhode, not just Warwick. I know the speaker's working on other various areas, cities and towns. They just passed a bunch of housing bills for it. We have a lot of development going on in Warwick, but unfortunately not much of it is an affordable component other than the Sheridan Inn. Just before I came here, I was meeting with Rhode Island Housing to talk about how we could start enticing these developers to include an affordable component in the development. So, we're working on it.
Okay. Patrick, you can respond to the mayor's statement in about 30 seconds. Same for you, Leah. And I'll rephrase the question, and I'll repeat it. Does Warwick have an affordable housing problem? And would you build an ADU in your backyard?
All of Rhode Island has a housing problem. I know there are people sleeping in Roger Williams Park. I know there are people sleeping in their cars. How do I know this? Because I found out about it, and I invited them to stay at my house. 2 years ago, I had 2 people living in their car. It was a brutal winter, and I said, you can't do this anymore. And I brought them into my house, and they stayed with me for about 3 weeks. I have 2 other people right now that also are in a situation where they don't have their homes, and they're actually living with me right now. One of them was about to give up completely, but I'm glad I was able to help them. So we'll do what we can to help people. Yeah. That's what we have to do.
So you think Warwick has an affordable housing problem?
Oh, absolutely.
And would you build an ADU? You want
no,
an ADU?
I would not.
No. Okay.
But I would tell people to reach out to their friends and neighbors and help them in need.
Okay.
And look out for them before they get to the point where they lose their house.
All right, Leah, go ahead.
I'm in agreement. We do have an affordable housing problem, but it's not just Warwick, it's statewide. And we're doing what we can here in Warwick to add additional housing. As far as me having an ADU, I don't have the space for it in my home. I also have a ranch house. It's simple living. If I had more space, I'd consider it if I had the space to add the housing. But at this point, I do not.
Let me just do a quick follow-up, all three, just a very short answer. Mayor, do you like these ADUs? Do you think they ought to be allowed in your city? Are you good with the concept?
If it's done with common sense, yes. I think it's somewhere we have to turn.
Patrick?
These are the $66,000 small houses.
You can build them cheaper, but so it's basically a little house in the backyard. You could put your mother-in-law in, or your child that doesn't want to leave you. It's still or help somebody with affordable housing? You like the concept?
Yeah, I've got 3 kids, and I have 2 more living with me, but I've got an extra room if someone needs it. I would welcome somebody to my place, absolutely.
All right, and Leah, the concept in general, building these little cottages in the back.
I agree.
You do. All right, next question from John Howell.
Is it on? It is, good. We received a number of questions concerning finances and schools and whether we're going to be able to pay for $350 million bond issue for building both Tollgate and Pilgrim. And among those issues in terms of building and where we're going to go, I'm going to focus for a moment on Mickey Stevens Sports Complex. And back in 2009, voters approved a $7 million bond issue to go ahead and revamp Mickey Stevens Sports Complex. Bottom line, without going through this number of sentences here, seeing all the debt that the city is taking on for schools and its impact on taxpayers, do you think the city should borrow the money for a new Mickey Stevens Sports Complex? Why don't we start with Leah?
Okay, well, this issue has been long-standing. Our mayor did run on this issue. In 2020, that was one of his platforms. But this is well before the schools were presented. The new schools were not presented until 2022. So this goes before, that issue goes before that. As far as would I want to take on more funding for that, I wouldn't agree to taking on anything extra until I know exactly where we stand. And I won't know that until I'm in the office. Then I will know, and not only me, but everybody in this room will know exactly where we stand. Then we build from there. To make promises before I see what's really going on, I'd be lying. So no, I won't say yes.
So even though the voters approved it back in 2009,
and it should have been done back in 2009.
But it wasn't.
I agree. It should have been done when the voters approved it.
So would you wait to get into office before deciding?
Microphone.
I'm sorry?
Would you wait to get into office before deciding to do that or not?
I can't make promises to people until I see what the finances actually hold.
Okay, Mayor, since she referenced you in her answer, go ahead. You have a rebuttal?
I'm going to sidestep the finance question for a second here. Mickey Stevens in 2021, when I first became mayor, I appointed a committee to look at the Mickey Stevens project. We had to do an environmental review. It was necessary. It's a former landfill. It was a grant that came in under Mayor Solomon's administration, $500,000. We performed the environmental review. They came up with their recommendations because it had to be remediated and encapsulated. We submitted that in March 2022. I've given the document to John Howell. In August of 2024, it was approved. I got the letter early in September. It's gone out to bid for design. Until we design it, we don't know how much it's going to cost. I won't commit to using the old bond right now because we're exploring different grants, earmarks, and what have you. So, but when we get a design, we'll have the answer of how much it would cost and what it would take to do it.
Okay, Patrick, you can have it on this if you like.
Thank you, yes. First of all, I'd like to go back to when I was on the school committee from 2008 to 2012 and say that the mayor at that time had $25 million to put towards schools. The voters voted on it. It never went anywhere. People promise things, voters vote on things, and eventually voters are ignored. So when the voters stand up for something and vote for it, politicians need to be held accountable, and they need to do it. If it was voted on in 2009, why isn't it done yet? Mayor, I understand that there's an issue with contaminants, but I think that there's an issue with contaminants at the new ice rink that you are proposing now in Warwick, and I'm waiting to hear more about that. So,
okay, let's let the mayor respond to that. Go ahead, take a two-part question, but if you keep it moving for us, Mayor.
Let's talk about the ice rink first. There were 2 buried tanks there. We knew about them. It's in the bed. The process is you remove them. You excavate the soil, then you test the soil, which has been done. There's a pile of it. Then we had to do test borings last week. The contamination, you're going to find contamination under anything that has asphalt on it. There's always a level of contamination. The school department in the past 2 years have come across 3 of these projects. They had to go through the exact same process. One of it was Howell Elementary School. I think it was 3 months ago that they presented to the school committee. I was watching the meeting, and no one questioned the process of the contamination out. Then, the DEM has determined the contamination level is too high for us to use it. We have to bring it to the landfill. It's a cost of $70,000. It's more than covered by our contingency fund. It was expected.
Okay. Barbara Polichetti, next question from you.
Okay. We're going to move off finances for a minute. Speed cameras, also known as traffic cameras, which many of us who drive through Providence see around school districts, can earn money from municipalities and the vendors who provide the services. But number one, do they actually reduce car accidents and improve safety? And what is your feeling about whether these types of cameras should be implemented in Warwick? And we're starting with Patrick.
Thank you. I did a lot of research on this particular question. I'll start off by saying I am not pro-speed cameras. I think that we should have precautions in school areas. And I'm particularly concerned with the vendor that we went out to for these speed cameras, and I'll tell you the reason why. In Providence, they have speed cameras. They are currently being sued. The city of Providence is being sued by the company that they hired to put in the speed cameras. Now, the answer to that you may be told next is that we hired a different company. The company that we hired currently has the former CEO of the company that Providence is suing. So before we go forward with speed cameras, I think that we need to have these companies investigated and make sure that it's not going to open us up to additional lawsuits. The city of Warwick has enough lawsuits, as we all know, as it is.
Are you against speed cameras in principle?
Oh, I am.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Leah, go ahead. Are you against speed cameras in principle, or you think they're a good idea?
I think they're a good idea, especially in the school zones where there is a lot of speeding. And being on the school committee, it's very important to me that there is safety in those zones. Now, if we're using it as a supplementary income, that I don't agree with, because behavior will change. You get those tickets out, behavior's going to change. It's supposed to bring in maybe 1.3 million in the next year, but once people get those tickets, you're going to see a drop in those funds coming in. It was included in the budget, proposed as income that they were expecting to come in. So it is a supplementary income that they're looking at, rather than a change of behavior.
All right, Mayor, give us your thoughts on that. And is it actually a regular source of income? Why don't you address that, Mayor?
Okay, we did a lot of research with this. East Providence, Pawtucket, we visited multiple times. Our police department has studied this for 2 years. There is a drop in income, but it's not a lot. East Providence is probably $3 to $4 million per year, every year. The $1.3 million wasn't for the year, it was for a quarter of the year. That's what we proposed in the budget. Speed cameras are necessary here. The police department, as I said, they've done a lot of work on this. We had a test on September 4th, a 16-hour period. We covered 5 intersections and 1,127 infractions. 1,127 people went through red lights. If you drive around Warwick, you see it. It's rampant. It's dangerous.
So you are for speed cameras in principle, and would you address Patrick's concern about the executive makeup of this particular company?
As I said, our police department, whom I trust, did a lot of work on this. But with all due respect to his research, I trust the police department's judgment. This is the company they brought forward after a lot of working on it for a long time.
Patrick, I'll let you have the final word on this if you want to.
Yes, I will. Thank you. My daughter's in the audience. Providence has speed cameras, and I'll tell you, it's the last place I want to go. I got a ticket there on the way to the Veterans Administration, and if the Veterans Administration wasn't there, there'd be no reason for me to go to Providence. We're going to kill our small businesses. We do need safety. We need to hold people accountable. If we need to hire some more police, we will.
Okay.
Can I just add?
Sure, go ahead. If you feel the need, go ahead.
The easy solution is don't break traffic laws. You won't get a fine.
Leah?
Originally, I thought they were in school zones. I didn't realize they were going to be at red light intersections as well. It preliminarily was set up to go to school zones. As far as I saw when I was at the city council meeting, yes, while I was at the city council meeting, that is what was proposed, and Councilman McAllister was against it at the time, only because he said, you're adding income to the budget before the city council has ever approved it.
All right.
So that is that. And as far as the red lights, why are we doing it at all the red lights? It was supposed to be for safety of the school zones first. If you want to build on it, I agree. We should hire more police.
All right, let's hold it there. We have a lot there.
I
Let's,
just have one more thing.
10 seconds, Mayor, I got to move
That
on.
is not what was proposed
All
by
right.
City Council. It's
Yes.
proposed in the package.
We're moving on to other topics. I want to talk about the airport. If you don't live in Warwick, you're in Warwick a lot, either passing through or you're flying out of it. Mayor, you've long wanted more representation on that airport board. You've been thwarted at the higher levels. What are you going to do to get better representation on that board, Mayor?
We're going to keep working on it. Representative Joe McNamara said he's going to be submitting again this year. He's going to keep fighting for it. Hopefully we can get some other reps and senators on board with it.
And are you satisfied with how that expansion is proceeding? It's going to be a big part of the airport coming up.
The cargo facility, I prefer it wasn't there, but it's a fact of life. We can't stop them. But we've done as much as we can to stop that from intruding on the quality of life. The sound berm and the traffic off the streets.
Okay. Patrick, you can pick it up. The airport?
Thank you, yes. I said in the Providence Journal that I was, if I could go back in time 20 years, I'd tell them to move it to Quonset and get that money, get that area for houses. But what I'll say about it now is that the mayor fought hard to get the airport to go to the cut through directly to the highway. He said that when they went to the FAA, they didn't put in any of what he said. If that was in a contract in the first place, he wouldn't have had to fight for it for 6 months. He did not do his due diligence at that time. And for that, we almost lost our pilot program, payment in lieu of taxes.
So you fault him on the process, but in the end, the mayor got what he wanted with regard to that ramp. That's going to take the trucks in, am I correct?
He did. And what I'll say is, the politicians up at the State House, if they elect an independent like Frank or I, if they're not going to work with this, that's wrong. Does that mean that only if you elect Leah will get representation? Every single person in Warwick should have representation, regardless of their party. That's what I'll say.
All right, well, let's go to you, Leah. You're going to get us better representation on the board because you're a Democrat?
I'll be honest with you. If you can stay at the table and work with people, you'll get more accomplished than if you have to go to a lawsuit. You stay at the table and you negotiate and work with people. You don't have to resort to a lawsuit. It could have been done faster had we stayed at the table. So no, it has nothing to do with whether I'm a Democrat, whether I'm an independent, whether I'm a Republican. It has to do with how you work with people, how you are willing to negotiate with people. That is what accomplishes things.
Mayor, I'll let you have a rebuttal.
There was no table. They agreed to our conditions. They lied. They filed with the FAA. Because I don't trust them, I checked. They did not file with the FAA. We had to file a legal challenge. That stopped it. And then we fought for 2 years. There was no table. There was no table to sit on. They said they were going to do it, and they didn't do it. And there's no contract. I don't know where that comes up ahead. They made assurances at public meetings, and they didn't come through on it. And we forced them to.
Can I just press you a little bit on how you would get better representation? You've been speaking to Rep. McNamara.
Yes.
He's giving you assurances.
Did he resubmit the bid?
Yeah.
Yes.
But as far as more representation on the board.
Any representation on the board. We used to have a seat on that board. When they changed under the original articles of corporation that were on the Airport Corporation, the mayor of Warwick had a seat. They changed it through the legislative process that they took that away. We were trying to get it back. We submitted it this year. Many bills don't go through the first year. But Warwick needs to have a seat on that board.
Okay.
They need to have representation.
All right, we'll move on from the airport. John Howell's got the next question.
I got to go back to schools. I think this is on. And
Put it closer, John.
put it closer. Okay. Okay. You can see I'm used to a pen. Should the $350 million bond issue prove insufficient to complete construction of the new schools, what would you do? If they had to stop construction, they run out of money, what would you do?
Who are you asking?
Why don't I start with the mayor? I know you've got an answer, Leah.
Yes, I do.
I don't know what we can do, John. It wouldn't be an act of mayor, it would be an act of city council. We'd probably have to go back out to the bond, but we could also go to the infrastructure bank for loans. That's not something I want to do. We're taking on a lot of debt as it is. I mean, that's why I sold the bonds at no bond premiums. The 350 million is 350 million is 350 million. There's no room for error. They need to, the shortest they can get it done for $350 million, and they have to.
Leah?
Yeah.
Well, we've been guaranteed by the building committee that we will stay within our budget. I have to trust the findings that we will stay within our budget. Before we even start, we're going to make sure that we're following the guidelines because we can't go back to the voter for anything more. We said we'd come in at 350. If we're not going to come in at 350, I wouldn't expect us to go forward. That would not be fair representation of what we offer the public.
Patrick?
Thank you, Gene. First, I'll start out by saying that the Providence Walking Bridge was budgeted at $3 million, and when they finally finished building it, it was $21 million. That is ridiculous. We need to hold people accountable. We will be broke. This is a simple fact. I would have stood up to Rhode and said, why are you forcing us and manipulating us into building 2 high schools? And I'll follow that up by saying that I was very critical of Sheldon Whitehouse in the Providence Journal article today. We need to expect our Congress to step up when we're having issues like this. We need to be able to go to them and say, I think it's great that you want to have a wonderful environment. How about a wonderful environment for our students who deserve this without putting the taxpayers in those houses that you're asking us to build in our backyard, Gene? Thank you.
Mayor, go ahead. All right, folks, hold the applause and some of the moans and the groans. We'll let it all out at the end. Mayor, go ahead.
With what? Well,
he laid out a few things for you to respond to.
I have concerns that they can build with $350 million. We're watching it very close. It's a lot of experts said they can't do it. They're assuring us they can. They have a decent contingency plan, but as I said, they have $350 million. That's it. We have to be very careful.
They certainly can build something for $350 million.
It's something, but not what was proposed.
That's the question.
Right.
So, Patrick.
I'll also point out that I pointed out during the school committee meeting, I think it's Johnston hired the exact same company to do 3 schools, and about a year and a half later, they had to scrap the entire project and go down to 2 schools. It's in the paper, it's in the news, Google it, exact same company. I believe they're called Right Turn. So it's going to be a wrong turn if we don't do this right.
Leah, you can have just a quick rebuttal here, and we'll move on to Barbara.
Well, rather than right turn, we have left field, and I would say they're a little bit better. But hopefully, I believe what was proposed, and they showed Tollgate and Pilgrim most recently, beautiful, beautiful schools. Still, not exactly what was shown earlier, but beautiful schools. If we can build those for $350 million, we're going to have a lot to offer in this community to our future students. So as long as we could stay there, I would be happy with it.
Barbara, next question.
Okay, Doris. I've never been accused of being impossible to hear, but we're going to start with Leah, and we're going to move away from schools for a minute. The city has approximately 39 miles of shoreline and a fair amount of coastal development. And although climate change and coastal flooding are not merely a local issue, what do you think the city should do to address rising sea levels in our area and increase flooding and flooding risk from coastal storms?
Okay, well, besides what we've already been doing, we're building some beautiful green spaces along the shore that will help with some of that. However, I think we need to partner with Save the Bay because they have a lot to offer us as far as knowledge. We need to partner with state legislators who offer us plenty of grant money, free money, to work with our coastal flooding, increased climate. And if we can do that, if we really can stay connected to the most recent research, we can work with URI. We have one of the best colleges in Rhode Island that has so much as far as environmental to offer this city. There is so much we can do by working with our partners within Rhode Island.
Patrick?
Thank you. I think the first thing we need to do is listen to the people. I was down in Oakland Beach. There's been drainage put in there, but it's still a mess. I've got a friend whose name is Deva Jones. She was the secretary of John Brown Francis. Her front yard is filled with a river when it runs. She has reached out continuously and is getting no help from DEM or the city. And I'll tell you, it's very simple. John Brown Francis used to flood for 20 years. I went out there during a rainstorm and I helped a man named Scott Small. I helped clear a drain that he said was the only drain, and I'll make this quick, the only drain, and if it plugged up, it flooded the whole area. There were cars underwater. I walked around that area and I found that there were no drains from Warwick Ave all the way around the plaza that my business is in and from Planet Fitness, and there was only one drain. If that got plugged, it was a problem. I called the city council, I called the mayor's office, this is prior to you, Mayor, and they put in a whole new dry well. That has not flooded in 10 years because it takes simply going for a walk and seeing what a problem is. Listen to the people.
Okay, so could I just clarify, so are you pointing the finger of criticism at DEM or the state or at the mayor's office?
I think that when there's a rainstorm, if politicians went outside and went for a walk, they would easily see what problems are, and then we bring the experts in to help us solve it. I don't have all the answers, but there are people out there that do.
Mayor, have you been doing enough on that particular point, you say?
Well, I don't know, there's two different subjects here.
Well, take one.
You're talking about puddles and rainstorms and climate change.
She's talking about the clogged drainage system. Go ahead.
Right, or if we could stick with the original question so the mayor has a chance to answer that.
All right, sure.
Well, if you want me to repeat the question again.
Climate change and the rising level of the sea is not something we can handle at a city level. Those billions and billions of dollars of work. We need to work with state and federal government to do that. What we're doing is being prepared for the results of these storms. We're helping people. We bought additional pumps and hoses to try to help them out. I'm well aware of drainage issues. People can see on Facebook that I'm out in storms cleaning drains out. That's what happens. It's not so much the drains are clogged. We clean those regularly. It's the surface. It's the infrastructure. It's litter. It's the grass that people blow out in the street. We handle that every single time it rains. We had some very harsh storms last spring. It's probably almost unprecedented. But 39 miles of coastline, waterfront properties, we cannot cope with that.
Okay, so some of the criticism that you just leveled about the politicians walking around, Mayor, you're walking around, you're saying?
I'm out in every storm, I'm out plowing snow, I'm around all the time.
Leah, you want to get on this if you like, and then we'll move ahead.
Well, as far as the drainage problem, I live in Oakland Beach, so I talk to people all the time. And almost every storm, the drains are clogged. The drains, as far as I am aware, they just don't have enough city workers to stay up on top of this, keeping those drains clean. They are not done as regularly as I'd like to see them done. We could definitely use more municipal workers to help take care of that.
All right, okay, this leads to my next question, actually, a general question rather than specific. Mayor, the taxpayers getting bang for their buck with their services, police, fire, drainage, and on and on. Are you delivering what you ought to be delivering?
They certainly do, but I mean, I would like more municipal workers too. My brother is director of public works, and he retired in 2017. He had 20 men more than I do. They've been cut down over the years. It's great to hire people, but where are you getting the money from? People are expensive. You have pension contributions, you have benefits, and what do you do with them in the winter? And we do clean them regularly. We have a big truck with a claw. They go off and they have a whole schedule around the city. Mine was clean last April. I ran into them when I was leaving for work. In that last storm, my street was flooded. It's the stuff that gets up on the top. They clean them as often as possible, but debris goes in them. We can't have 1,000 city workers doing these chores every day.
I understand you're saying, so you're delivering city services, you're giving bang for your buck within reason. You haven't got an army of sewer cleaners, I understand. Leah, go ahead.
Well, we need more than 2 people to cut the grass citywide, and that's what we have. We have 2 people that cut the grass citywide. Yes, we do.
That's completely untrue.
No, it's not.
It's completely untrue. It's completely untrue. It's word on the street, it's rumors. We have multiple.
No,
people.
it's straight
We have
from the
multiple
people that
people.
All right, okay, I didn't know that we have to get the fact-checking the number of CBS didn't do well with that last thing, but, all right, well, we'll leave the number of grass cutters. Is it somewhere in the middle, Mayor? You want to give us a ballpark?
Well, grass. I mean, is it parks and is it parks? Is it City Park, Rocky Point?
Who's in charge of it, Mayor? You should know that.
Who's in charge of what?
You. Who's in charge of grass cutters? You're asking.
Oh, yes, that's me. I go out and start the lawnmowers every morning.
Patrick?
Yeah, I think they've
The general question was bang for your buck services, police, fire,
Thank you,
trash
Chief.
collection, everything.
Thank
That's,
you, Chief.
is the mayor delivering?
I'm so glad I'm between these two. So, so here's what I'm going to say. Mayor, I'm glad you brought this up. You ran on no nepotism, and you just told us that your brother is the director of the Public Works for the city.
He retired.
Okay. And, you know, I'll tell you, that particular, your family member worked for the city, schools as well, and I'm familiar with his work. So what I'll say is that we don't have enough people out there. And the people that we are having out there are overwhelmed. And buying new equipment doesn't fix everything. So we have to set an expectation and have them follow it.
As to just the general premise of delivering bang for your buck with city services, are you critical of that, or are you willing to stipulate that?
I'm happy with police, fire, I'm happy with teachers, I'm happy with the people who do the trash. I just think we need real leadership and tell them what we have for expectations, and they'll do their job. That's it, leadership.
All right, can I make two further points on that?
Yes, you may.
I have never had a relative who worked for the school department. I don't know where that came from. And equipment does matter. We bought a new tractor with the extended arm because the one we had was in 1989. It now takes one worker 4 hours to cut the grass at Rocky Point, where it used to take 4 workers 4 days with a small riding lawnmower. So it does make a big difference.
And Patrick, you said he says he doesn't have a relative.
Well, I'll have to go back and look. It's been 12 years. I'm sorry.
I never had a relative who worked for the school department. I was on the school committee, and my brother, he's talking about nepotism. My brother retired in 2017, 5 years before he became mayor, 4 years before he became mayor.
So let the record show that. John, next question.
Okay. What do you want?
Would you buy us new microphones if you get in?
That would be up to the library board.
Okay, am I on now? I think I am. This is a question for all of you. Usually at this time of the year, or when it gets to budget time anyway, schools become a contentious issue. They're looking for more money from the city.
We already did that.
A little closer, now you're better? Okay. Usually at this budget time, schools are looking for more money from the city, and the city is not prepared to do that because of the impact on taxes. It's been suggested that the city administration should have greater control over school spending. Would you favor giving the mayor and city council authority over line item expenditures in the school budget, or even a change in the charter in terms of providing a city-appointed member of the school committee? Will you?
No, I wouldn't. Because you have to know what's going on in the schools, what's happening in the schools, and the needs of the schools closely. I wouldn't expect the schools to manage the city budget. I wouldn't expect that at all. They are not going to know what the needs are interdepartmentally, and neither would I expect them to know what the needs are within our school. Yes, are they going to ask for more money? What in the world hasn't gone up over the last year? Tell me one thing: food, everything, electricity, everything has gone up. Why we expect the school's budget not to go up does not make any sense whatsoever.
Would you favor separating a school tax from the rest of the city tax? In other words, the school department would set the school tax, city would do the city taxes.
I think we should keep it as it is right now. I'm not in favor of changing the charter as far as that's concerned. When I get into City Hall and I see what's happening interdepartmentally, then I'll talk about it. I'm not going to say what should happen as far as that budget goes right now. I don't see the inner workings. I'm not privy to executive sessions, to what they're talking about there, just like they're not privy to what we have on ours in executive session. There are things
Let's see what the mayor has to
now.
say on this. What do you think, Mayor?
The city council only has executive session for legal matters, maybe a couple of times a year. It doesn't happen. I wouldn't be in favor of giving them tax authority because there'd be no way to rein it in. I have a lot of fears with appointed school committee members because it could get just political. So I don't know what the answer is. I mean, we don't have any oversight of their budget, but we can pay attention to where they're spending money. But the costs have gone up a lot. I've been very supportive with their funding. But now with the school debt coming up, things are going to change. I mean, the school population has been declining and the costs keep going up. I mean, we have to keep an eye on this.
Patrick? Thank you. Actually, I would love to have an extended school committee. We currently have 2 citywide school members and 3 for each ward. District, thank you. What I would like to see, and I proposed this in the past, I'd like to see a non-voting member of the school committee that's appointed by the mayor and a non-voting school committee member that's appointed by the city council, because I think that's going to create better communication between the 3 entities. And I think it's a great solution, and there's never a problem with having more representation on a board like the schools. So I'm not opposed to extending that, but I wouldn't give them a voting membership. It would be for representation so that there's no miscommunication. There's so much miscommunication between the mayor's office, the city council, and the school committee. And I'm not faulting you for the miscommunication. I want to make sure you know that. It's telephone game.
All right. Barbara?
Thank you. All right, we're going to move away from the schools for a minute, and we're going to go to retail and shopping, a favorite topic of mine. Warwick, as we all know, many of us who live in the area go to Warwick, has a lot of attractive retail. I want to focus on one particular project, which dates back more than a decade. The city has invested a lot over the years in city center Warwick. We've seen some hotel development and so forth. And I'm starting with Leah. Do you think this project has reached its potential? And if not, where would you like to see it go? And what do you think needs to be done?
Well, if we're talking about bringing businesses to Warwick, we need to streamline the process. There are way too many business owners that have reached out to me recently and said how hard it is to open a business in Warwick.
Okay, just for one second, in particular city center, the area around the
But
translate.
still, we're talking about businesses, correct?
Correct.
All right, so I'm addressing that. When you talk about businesses coming to Warwick, yes, we have added them, but I know some that are waiting 8 months to get their availability to occupancy.
And I believe the mayor might, and then Patrick, don't worry, Rebecca, skip you. The mayor, did you want to just address what Leah said?
You want me to address the question or what she answered?
What she said, and then,
These are 2 very different things.
right, and then go to the question.
First of all, I keep hearing this permit thing. Over 200 businesses open in Warwick. We have streamlined the process, but we haven't streamlined our laws and codes. When you open a business in Warwick or anywhere in the state, you'll be ADA compliant, you will have a fire alarm system, your electrical, plumbing, and structural will have to be approved, you'll have to submit plans. That's what the laws are there for. A mayor can't even change laws. Those laws are there for a reason, for safety. We don't want another station fire on our hands. As to the city center, I guess a lot of people don't know what it is. The city center is a transit-oriented district. It is built for residents. It is built for pedestrian parkways, for bicycles, and that's what's starting to get there now. It sat dormant for decades. And now you see the 230 apartment complexes right next door to the airport connector. There's another one going to be breaking ground for this month, where the former Leviton was. It's going to be 220 apartments with a retail component. It's built there because the train station's there, the airport's there. That's what the city center is, a transit-oriented district. Now, there will be a little bit of retail. This big apartment complex is going to have a restaurant on the first floor, and they're going to have a little bit of retail. But it's not a zone for retail. It's zoned for commercial, residential. And they have tax treaties in place, and that's what it was conceived for.
Thank you. And Patrick, this has sort of become a two-pronged question, so you can take whichever prong you want first, which is, what do you think about city center reaching its potential? And also, what do you think about what's the best avenue for business growth in Warwick? So,
thank you. And we said this started 20 years ago? How long ago did we say this started? I'm
It
sorry.
actually started under Lincoln Chafee in the 90s.
In the 90s, so 90s, 2000s, 2010, 2020. At what point do we pull the plug? There are people in Oakland Beach right now screaming that they would like to have an area like Picozzi Village. I think that we're Rhode Island. We're small businesses, we're small towns. We should listen to the people and give them what they want. I think that was a great idea 30, 40 years ago. We're building new schools now. $350 million. We have to be able to change with the times. Maybe a huge center for the residents isn't the thing we need right now. Thank you.
I'll give you just a quick 30 seconds, and I'm going to move to something related.
I'm confused by that answer too, because this isn't a city thing. It's a zone that was created for residences, and that's what we're going through with. I don't see how that relates.
All right. A related question on business. Mayor, are you concerned about the health of Route 2 from south to north, where Macy's is always talking about closing stores? Stores come in and out. What's your assessment of the health of Route 2? Big part of your economy.
Yep, I think most big box stores are at risk right now with online sales. However, in Warwick, we have 2 Targets, 2 Lowe's, a Home Depot. We're kind of the retail center, so I think they do well here. But I see other ones closing. The Warwick Mall, that's phenomenal. That's still functioning as well as it is when you see other malls closing. So I think we're all right, but we're always at risk with big box stores. Times are changing.
Leah?
We've also, Warwick Mall, we've lost New York Company, Express. We've lost stores, the stores in Warwick Mall. But that is also, I agree, it is related to online shopping. I shop more online personally. As far as Route 2, it's healthy. There's a lot of shopping going on there. Just travel down the road on a Saturday afternoon. It's a pretty healthy shopping area. But could we have more? We could always have more.
Well, they do come and go, Patrick. You want to address this?
Yes, actually, I'm sure everybody's read that Hasbro's quite possibly on their way out the door right now. I grew up in East Providence. My parents are from Pawtucket. On Route 2, I know that the MetLife building was closed down, and they were a global company. So I would talk to Hasbro tomorrow, and I would say, before you decide to leave Rhode Island, come to Warwick and look at Route 2. There's 1,000 jobs at Hasbro. If those 1,000 jobs were at MetLife on Route 2 would come back alive. And you can take that idea and steal it. Please do.
I didn't think of that one, Mayor. Does that interest you?
I don't own MetLife, so I wouldn't be able to do that. And anyone that drives on Route 2 knows it's alive. It takes me 15 minutes to get Chick-fil-A from my office.
Should you be involved in luring Hasbro to Warwick? Everybody seems to want to come somewhere.
Well, it would depend, because luring that company is going to come with a big cost. They don't want to pay taxes. It'll be like Johnston. They opened Amazon there. With tax treaties, they don't benefit that city for 15, 20 years. And I'm not a fan of project-based tax treaties. So it's at what cost? Because there may be 1,000 jobs. It doesn't guarantee the Warwick residents are going to get them. Maybe no one will.
All right.
So there has to be something in it for Warwick.
We'll leave that for the Pawtucket debate, which is upcoming. Let's hold. Other problems in Warwick. John, next question.
Not on.
You just let me use yours, Gene.
Yeah.
I'm already having one.
I'm going to go to chickens, of all things. This is one of the questions that was submitted to us via email, and the author pointed out that Warwick was originally farmland, so raising and growing your own food should be your right. will you vow to change the laws on hens? Doing so could help low-income families eat, lower the food waste that goes into the landfill, and make our city healthier. So, Mayor?
You did say Chick-fil-A before, Mayor, so...
If they don't make it in my backyard. The ordinance in Warwick is 5 contiguous acres to have chickens. You have to have a lot of chickens to supply a family with a steady diet of eggs. And also, a mayor can't change a law. That's a separation of powers. That would be the city council. A lot of people want chickens now. I think it's a trend, but they're dirty. They draw rats. We have rats in Warwick. We come back all the time. And a lot of times it's bird feeders and people who have chickens. It's against code right now. So to answer the question honestly, I couldn't change it. I'm not a legislator.
I realize you got laws and you can't just sort of, make that change. But how do you feel about it? Would you favor it?
No, I'd be against it. I don't want to live next to a yard full of chickens. I don't want rats coming in my yard.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Patrick, where do you stand on the chickens?
Thank you. Actually, I was originally against this, and my wife loved the idea of this. She wanted to have chickens in her backyard. A good friend of mine, Dean Johnson, has and I think you're both friends with him too, has a wonderful garden in his backyard, and I'd love to see more people have gardens. And if done right, and put up the chicken wire and keep the animals out, I think that would be great. We should be teaching our kids how to grow food. I was just at Bass Pro Shops, and I'm going to get a fishing pole, and I'm going to go fishing too. I think we should be teaching this in schools.
Okay, that's a no and a yes. And Leah?
I'm all for a community garden. I'm all for gardening. We're teaching the kids how to garden. I am not okay with the chickens.
Okay.
I am not, because they just make a lot of noise, and I could hear them crowing early in the morning. You need a rooster if you're going to have chickens. So I'm not okay with that. No.
Asked and answered.
Can I add one more thing to that, too?
To the chickens? Go ahead. Yes.
About a month and a half ago, the animal shelter director, a wonderful woman who cares greatly about animals, she put it out there that she wants people to stop getting chickens. People are abandoning them. She's finding it. They do it with dogs and cats. They're going to do it with chickens. Our shelters across the state are getting full now. Neglected animals, people are abandoning them. So, I think you're going to get a lot. If you're going to abandon a dog, I think you're going to abandon a chicken a lot more readily.
All right. I think we've got a definitive answer from all of you on the chickens. Leah,
yes.
Warwick, a couple of years ago, was given a de facto homeless shelter in the form of the Nilo that the state leased out for 3 months against the objections of the people in that neighborhood. You have a homeless shelter now at the Motel 6. Does Warwick have a homeless problem, or are you accepting the homeless from the state at large? And what would you do with the mayor to address both of those questions?
I have a friend that lives in the Nilo area, and she had people entering her home to steal from her, coming right into her home. She had the police involved, and it wasn't just her, it was other people in those areas. Moving the statewide problem to Motel 6 was a good decision. It's out of the general population of families, away from residents. For the most part, I don't like the idea that there is a daycare right there, right in the back over there. But it's definitely better than having it right in the middle of a residential area.
So Nilo, no, you're okay with Motel 6?
Motel 6, yes.
Patrick?
We have to put our homeless, the unhoused need a place to go. We have to offer them something. It's inhumane to not want to offer something to the unhoused.
Patrick?
Thank you. Yes, I actually knew somebody, her name was Erica, she worked at the Nilo. She was afraid to go to work when they were there. She was afraid to go to work. I know they're on Motel 6. I actually met with the teachers union. They met with all three of us, and we discussed the people that were coming in who were homeless or migrated here. And it's a strain on the resources. So first we need to identify what the issue is, then we need to see if we have money to appropriately take care of it. And I don't want to see people without homes. I mean, we keep talking about people that are homeless. I started with my statement in the beginning. In the last 2 years, I've had 4 people who didn't have anywhere to live. This is a real problem. And Pat Ford's in the audience, and he has a charity, and he goes out and he gives food and water to the homeless constantly. So thank you for that, Pat.
All right, Mayor, you and I have chatted about this on the radio. The NILO didn't happen again. There was a lot of squawking about that. Motel 6 did, and you've told me you're okay with that. So you've got some common ground here.
I'm more okay with it than with NILO. Gene, the NILO situation, I actually found out about that from you. The state didn't inform us. And that's where the neighbors had a big problem. They didn't come in, and they didn't talk to us, and prepare us for it. They moved them to Motel 6. Am I okay with them there? It's better than nothing, but the state needs to come up with a long-term solution to solve this problem. And they're not. They're just kind of throwing money at it. The same. I don't know if it's the same residents. They've been in Motel 6 now for what, year and a half, 2 years?
For a while, yeah. And
they've tried to put them in other motels and work, and I've resisted that because I said, go talk to the other 38 cities, now and then come back to me. We do have some homeless encampments. It's not as bad as in other cities. I just noticed John DePietro sent me a picture of one.
In your city?
In my city. It was hard to tell where it was, but I know it's on state land at Route 2. Our police department handle the encampments. We find they bring caseworkers out there. They try to get them some long-term programs and get them into whatever programs they are. But to be honest with you, most of them just pack up their stuff and go because they don't want to go to shelters.
All right. I just have a quick follow-up, sort of related.
She said stop.
I'll give you a few extra minutes. Just a sort of a related quick question. Panhandling. Up by the mall, you have some regular people panhandling at the mall, and sometimes they panhandle in other spots. It is a protected order of free speech, yet some people say there's more the city can do on panhandlers, particularly up by the mall, Mayor.
Do they have any suggestions of what that would be?
I'm asking you, Mayor. Is there more you can do? You got to live with it.
There's nothing we can do. It's failed in court. They say it's a First Amendment right. Cranston even tried to do something where they would make stones and bricks so it would be uncomfortable for them, and that was shot down. I don't like it, but it's protected, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Patrick, go ahead.
I give charity in the appropriate places and creating a safety issue by stopping cars and I got hit, the back of my car got hit yesterday, okay, in Newport. People weren't paying attention. It happens. The other person had a damaged car, I didn't. I said, I don't care. We have 8 minutes left. I'd really love to address the finances of the city. Yeah. Please, I think that's what people are here for.
Well, you know what? We began with some finance questions, but John, if you want to give them what they're looking for on a finance question, we'll do that. Or Barbara, if you have one.
No, I was ready for the lightning round, which we can do at the very end.
Okay.
These people want to know if they're going to be homeless or not.
Just give us a second. We'll try to accommodate you.
Thank you.
Want to be civil. Just wait
In
a
the
second.
meantime, do you want Leah to answer that other question?
Which one was that?
The one that we just...
No. Everybody's had a chance to answer every question so far. Is there something we missed?
have a chance.
The panhandling.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. No, we don't need to overlook you. Go ahead.
That's
Is there
all
more
right.
the city should do about panhandling? And while you're answering that, John will come up with your finance question, and then we'll hold it there.
Well, we did at one point try to stop it within the city. And the ACLU got involved and said, if you're going to allow it for muscular dystrophy or for any other form of charity, you have to allow it for them as well. So as far as that goes, the law is the law. We have to follow it.
So I think all three of you agree you have to live with a certain amount of it. It's constitutionally protected. Okay, John?
Okay, we've got a number of finance questions that were submitted, and I've just picked one out of the group here, and let me read it to you. According to a recent published report by the State Auditor General, Warwick's per pupil cost of $24,619 is approximately $1,300 over the state average, and the second largest in the state, only behind Providence, for a school district greater than 5,000 students. Warwick's sister community, Cranston, per pupil cost stands at $20,729, roughly $4,000 less than what it is in Warwick. What is being done, if anything, to reduce this cost? Why is Warwick's cost 18.7% higher than Cranston? And then secondly, granting Warwick teachers an additional $8.3 million raise over the next 3 years, would you consider that responsible? And the annual cost of constructing, and of course going back to the schools, the construction of the schools, all adding up to Warwick is expensive, and schools are expensive, and taxes are high.
That was a very long question. Patrick, you asked for a finance question. Go ahead and tackle it.
All right, here it is. The answer is we cannot afford this anymore. We cannot give things away. When I was on the school committee from 2008 to 2012, I negotiated a contract with the teachers that put a 20% copay into place, and that saved Warwick $4 million a year. Since 2013, that's saved over $50 million for Warwick. And every year that it goes by and they continue to pay the copay, the people of Warwick will save $4 million. The school committee negotiated a raise for the teachers recently, and it was $8.3 million. And the mayor gave raises equaling 17% raises to employees in the city. We cannot keep giving things away if we want to have schools. Things are going to suffer. We will never have a city center. We will have people living in the backyards of other people. We will have to have chickens living in our yards. So that's my answer. They're telling me to stop. I could go on, and I will stay afterwards to tell people.
We could go on for another round. Let's hold it there. Mayor, go ahead, and then Leah, you'll have the last word, then we'll do closing statements.
I'd like to know what city worker did 17% raise, because there weren't any. The firemen got 10.25%. The DPW workers got 8.75.
8.75. Anybody in here get an 8.75% raise?
Okay, well, I'm just saying what you said
Thank
was
you.
grossly incorrect.
I'll forward it to the media and to the mayor tomorrow.
Let's
anyway.
let's have the candidates, not the audience.
The raise was 8.75, not 17. But also, this is totally about the school department. I have no control over their budget. I don't get to see it. I don't vote on it. They come to me once a year, and they tell me what they need appropriated to them. And then we bring it to the city council. I really don't think this is a fair question to Leah, because she's on the school committee right now. This is targeted just at the school department. This isn't really a school committee debate.
Well, I appreciate that. But you said we have the second largest, we also have the second largest population of special education students. And it is very expensive, and I love our special education students. They're valuable to all of us. But it costs a lot to educate children that have special needs, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
All right, that is a full hour. We're going to extend it by 5 minutes because we have a lightning round, and these are just a little general questions to get a sense of your personality. We've covered a lot of issues over here. Barbara's got 3 or 4 questions. Keep the answers short, and then we will go to your 1-minute closing statement. Barbara?
Okay, and as Jean said, just keep the answers short if you can. And we're going to start with Leah. First question in the lightning round. Your favorite place to go in Warwick?
I don't have a favorite place. I love all of Warwick, to be honest with you. I love Warwick. I don't have a favorite.
I won't say my own store. I'll say Mirabella's. Mirabella's meatball sandwiches. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Thank you.
City Hall.
So, Patrick, your favorite Warwick memory?
Cherry Stones is where I proposed to my wife. And every time I go to Oakland Beach and drive past there, I think about that. it's just right there, and I love it.
Thank you. Mayor?
369 Samuel Gordon Avenue, the house I moved into when I was 8 years old.
And for me, I'm going to age myself right now, but I have great memories with my children at Rocky Point.
One more, Barbara?
One more. We'll start with the mayor. What was the last book you read?
The last book I read? I'm trying to think of the name of it, because it's about Valicenti, something Providence.
Prince of Providence.
I just read that recently.
Thank you. Leah?
I read the Bible, so that's the last chapter I read out of the book.
Patrick?
I read The Tipping Point by Max Gladwell.
Okay, around a tipping point, we're going to have closing statements, 1 minute. We're going to go in reverse from the order of who spoke first. Mayor, go ahead. Your closing statement, please keep it to a minute. Thank you.
No problem. I enjoy being the mayor of the city, and I consider it a great privilege. However, it comes with the downside. We become a target to keyboard cowards, trolls, cynics, critics, bullies, and morons. People who seem to have nothing better to do than insult and attack me and all elected officials all day long. I'm a big boy, and I've learned that as part of a job. During the election time, it gets worse. Candidates seem to feel that the only way they can get elected is to smear the reputation of their opponent. To say, vote for me because my opponent's a bad person. I refuse to engage in that. I campaign on issues, and my record as mayor because I respect the voters. But these smear tactics have a harsh effect on my family. They aren't allowed to defend me. My family knows the man I am, they love me, and they support me completely and unconditionally. Kim, Jackie, Stephanie, you're my life. Everything good inside of me is because of you. With the kids and you two, Paul, my son-in-law, you're my life. I love you with all my heart.
Thank you, Mayor. Leah?
I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity to be here today and to share my ideas. And I have my children with me as well, Rachel and Billy and my daughter-in-law, Callie. So thank you guys. Thank you, friends, for being here. I'd like to say that I believe that true leadership is not just about policies, opinions, or stance, but about building connections, being approachable, fostering a sense of unity. I'm running for mayor because I care deeply about Warwick's future and am dedicated to creating a city where every resident feels valued, heard. Together we can build a brighter, stronger Warwick, a community where opportunities thrive and every voice matters. Running for mayor is not a political endeavor for me. It's a heartfelt mission to ensure a better Warwick. I have a genuine desire to make a difference, and I'm ready to lead Warwick into a better future. I humbly ask for your vote for mayor of Warwick.
Thank you. Patrick?
My administration will be built on integrity. I'm not going to tear anybody down. I will say that as a small business owner in Warwick, I'm ready to close one of my businesses. My computer repair company, I know there's a lot of other businesses that are leaving. I will tell you that in my family, I'm one of the last ones here. The reason my parents are down in Tampa right now, in the middle of that hurricane, is because they could not afford to live here anymore. My brother could not afford to live here anymore. And when my wife got sick, I was alone. It does not take much for a person to have to struggle, and people are already struggling. It's only going to get worse. I don't want you to have to leave. I don't want you to lose your job. I'm going to focus on finances, and I'm not going to say that it's a law that can't keep me from doing something or a regulation. I'm going to make sure I go to the people that have the power to change those things, and I'm going to tell them why it would be beneficial while also keeping people safe. I want a better Warwick too, and our current mayor's had 4 years and he's done an okay job. I'm going to do a better job. I'm going to do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Leah Hazelwood, independent Democrat candidate, Patrick Maloney, the independent, and Mayor Frank Picozzi seeking re-election. Thank you to the candidates. Thank you to the audience on behalf of the Warwick Beacon. This concludes our debate. I hope you enjoyed it. If you learned something, and everybody feels that they were treated fairly tonight with equal time. Thanks, everybody. See you on the news.